Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong, and it is Friday morning. I'm in the workshop trying to stay on schedule. There's a shelf that I need to use for storage, and it has journals sitting in it. As many of you know, I am taking journals inside to an empty bookshelf so that they are better stored. This workshop is not conditioned except for a little window, AC unit, and a portable heater, little electric heater that sits in the floor in the winter. So I want to document these three. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking except to just tell you what the journal is from the start, and then I'm going to flip through because I have to get on track today. And I know it's not Halloween right now, but these do happen to be Halloween journals. So let's just flip through and see what is in here. I do remember this one very well, but I don't really remember the year. I hope it's in here somewhere. This one's a few years old. Let's just look. Pictures of days gone by. This journal did not have a theme other than just being Halloween. So it's got a lot of creepy images. So that was a picture of me in 2016, but I think there's 2016, but I think this journal was made a little bit after that. Maybe we will come across a date in here. There's a Halloween picture from 2008. Me and my girl, Michaela. So, and there's Michaela. Again, no real theme here except just creepy pages and images. You can see Alfred Hitchcock here. Just a beautiful card that I saw and loved and purchased that to go in here. I remember making these bead charms. I want to make some more charms. This was so inspiring. I saw that this morning and said, oh, I haven't done that in a while. Oh, that's a very stirring image. She is being arrested. This was the reign of terror during the time of the French Revolution. This is Madame Roland, and she was executed in 1793 at the guillotine. Jack-o'-lantern charm there. I love the scrapbook paper. And then this is a painting called Morgan Le Fay by Frederick Sandys. That was painted in 1864. There's a fun transparency of a frog dissection. So just beautiful images. Oh, there's Jason and me at there was a costume party, and just a pretty postcard there. I need to do better at writing the dates. I think I'm better now. I wasn't paying attention to it as much at that time. There's just an image of terror. I know who the artist is, but I can't think of his name. If it comes to me, I'll put it on here. His work can be quite unsettling. There's another, that's a Halloween picture, 2007. I would dress up and walk with Michaela through the neighborhood. I believe this is a Tim Holtz Halloween card. Oh, you can't have Halloween without Poe. Well, I can't. Still some blank space in here. I could go back, and there's an image from an old book of a tarot card, the death card. Oh, I love this. Just an old, like a doctor's cabinet or an herbal storage cabinet. Yeah, I could go back and work in this, but for now, this needs to go inside because I need that shelf. Picture of my garden back in the day. And that was 2017 Hollywood Horror Show. Jason and I took our niece Sydney to the horror show. It was like you could walk through it. It was terrifying. I screamed more because the girls, we took Sydney and her friend, they were screaming like right behind me, and then I would scream. He had pulled his mask down to take the picture. And I think this is a purchase I made from Mike Deacon. I love his channel. He had some Halloween things. I'm pretty sure this and maybe even these tags over here are from Mike Deacon. Beautiful old postcard. And then there's a crow feather from the yard. This was just part of an image of some kids that are all dressed up. And then that's just a postcard there. So that is that one. And unfortunately, we don't have the date. But I'm thinking this one, well, I can go back and look in my channel. This one may have been about 2007, 17, honestly. So just cut a few strings before I take it in. I don't always do that, but some of these are getting pretty long. Okay, let's look at the next one. So that's ready to go in. Oh my, I love this one. This one's just called Dolly. Some of you might remember this. We've got keys to her hospital room. She is hospitalized because she is very dangerous and very crazy. And then I've just got this hook for the outside. That's an old, like a latch to a strap for a bag or whatever to hold it in place. And then there's just a metal ring that I had. We've got a key ring here, that's like a metal book ring. And then the keys. I made one of these back a few years back, and I sold it. And then I was just inspired to make another one because it was such a fun book. On the spine, we have this little card that says patient file. Have a couple of beads on safety pins just hanging from some thread. And in this one ended up being really fun. So we just told a story about Dolly. You can see she scratched the eyes out of those dolls. She calls herself Dolly because she thinks she's a doll. She's very dangerous. She's possessed. So throughout this book, we've got things that I made up. Her patient file and her doctor, Dr. Imelda, maintains a relationship that borders on obsession, but she wants to help Dolly. And all through the story, we don't really understand why Dolly is able to do the things she does or escape the times that she does escape, how people end up dead or whatever when they're around Dolly, because she's supposed to be under lock and key. Look at the spiders. Oh my goodness. Oh, those are just little plastic spiders, and I ran sewing thread through them to be able to put them on like a trim on the edge of that page. So Dr. Imelda, there's a vintage image of a funeral. That's sad, but there it is. This is supposedly one of Dolly's victims. So what was I saying? So Dr. Imelda keeps all these notes, and as it turns out, oh look, there are the nurse's notes. So there's her nurse. Urgent lobotomy instruments missing from medical supply. Dolly took them. So Dolly has been missing from Athens Insane Asylum for over 2 weeks now. Oh, this is Dr. Imelda's note here. I don't know if there's anything else in there. Oh, and look, we even have some medical. This is a vintage ad showing some medical instruments there. And then this is Dolly as a baby and just information about how she grew up. There she is chasing a man. Of course, that's not really her. I think it's hilarious. This was probably some theatrical thing in an old book, and I just pulled it out and incorporated it into Dolly's story. Oh, and this is a picture. Dolly once held a party for Halloween. She became too violent with guests. Dolly was spotted in Ohio. She chased a man and scared him nearly to death. Dolly has an obsession with Poe. Many of us do. Many times Dolly has been moved to the attic or secure location when Dr. Imelda determined she was too dangerous. And the notes, they're kind of scribbled. I wanted it to look like they were written by a doctor. Goodness knows, I worked for doctors for years. I retired from the hospital, so sometimes it's really true about their handwriting. I have one son. I used to say he was going to be a doctor because you couldn't read anything he wrote. So this just goes on, and so Dolly says she has nightmares of being bound as a baby. Oh, I remember this. I need to put that in the coffee shop. The October Gazette. That makes a fun journal page. I love to make these one-page things and just call them gazettes, like little newspapers. Oh, that's so faded. Dolly's childhood home. So anyway, as the story goes on, we wonder why Imelda, Dr. Imelda, has this obsession and why Dolly is so able to always get away. And as it turns out, Dr. Imelda is Dolly's long-lost sister, and she has protected her all these years, but she's also afraid of her. And these, I forgot about these. Those are some beautiful postcards I ordered. Oh, so pretty. So those just sit in this black paper bag that's been sewn in. Old image from, that may have been on the cover of A Good Housekeeping. I think that is, oh, I can't think of the artist. He does a lot of more calm, sort of family-oriented things. Oh, and there's that image again. Heading to her, she was either being arrested or about to head to her execution. Madame Roland. She was executed in, was it 1793? We have some feathers in here. More about Dolly, her patient file, Dr. Imelda's personal notes. Oh, that's scary. That's death, taking someone away. I can't remember who painted that. And then there's Edgar Allan Poe. That was on like an educational card. Master of the Mysterious. Died at 40 years old, I believe, and left just a legacy of work. Oh, this is Bills of Mortality. King's Most Excellent Majesty. Was this the... I know I just printed out some things from this old document. Maybe that was about the plague. And of course, there's the mask. The doctors would wear what looked like a crow's mask, or people taking away the bodies. It didn't have to be the doctor, but I believe it was mostly the physicians who wore this. And you were able, it wasn't meant to look like a bird. That was not the goal. It's this long beak-like thing that they would stuff with, I guess, cloth and herbs and things to try to not become infected with the disease. And that's just a card I found at the thrift store, probably the scrap exchange. And you can see this part of a doll's hand there. And then there's Dr. Imelda, Dolly's twin. Those were just some little drawings I did for the book. And that's the end of that. Yeah, Dolly needs to go inside. I was thinking there was something I wanted to point out. Oh, yes, in this one. This is a fun little trick. So this charm right here, it's a little glass bottle that I just put red paint in to make it look like blood for Halloween, of course. And then I just wrapped wire around and around and made a little charm for it to be pinned in. I meant to say that, and I don't think I did. And this massive book is one of my favorites. This was a huge Halloween journal, and I believe I did October daily for this and journaled every day. This was a study of witches, and a lot of people were put to death unfairly. They were labeled witches, and even the Salem witch trials, looking back, they feel like some of the behaviors that led women to be killed were coming from a mold that would be prominent in grains if you had a really wet season. And of course, these grains being stored, they could become just laden with the spores from this mold. And then if you ate it, you would end up sick with, you would be delirious. So you would act out of character. And this was I just wanted to dive deeper into this history of witches and the witch trials and all of that. I made a shadow box on this very front page. We have an old file folder, and I love these metal folders. It says Curiosities. Now, if you've ever worked in retail, you will know what I'm talking about. This was on display at the Scrap Exchange, which is a retail setting. And I've worked in many retail settings. My major work the majority of my work was always hospital related, but I've worked in several settings in retail. And it's very challenging to look at people in the face, knowing that they've spoken to you, they're talking to you, and at the end of the day, things are stolen, things are torn up, bathrooms destroyed, and you wonder, like, who does this? Who did I talk to today who thought that was okay? There was a really beautiful vintage religious piece in here, and I got a scathing comment when I first published this about how dare I put religious symbols in a book about witches. Well, if you go back and you really study, there's a lot of stuff that got mixed up together. There are traditions that were informed by pagan rituals and as culture, and people changed from being a very earthy, crop oriented. People have changed, and customs carry along with us. So it is, a lot of it is intertwined, and even some of the churches that were trying to bring people into the fold, so to speak, they wanted to have celebrations and rituals to make the services more palatable to these people who were superstitious and who had lived by the land and by, the dangers of nature and looked to nature for answers for things. So it's all tied in together. Anyway, at the end of the day, and I was around most of the time, so I must have stepped away for a few minutes, and I came back and someone had cut out this beautiful vintage piece. I'm not going to say too much about this, just to show you there was a lot of effort put into this book, and I based it on a story. Oh, here you go. Between 1482 and 1782, around 100,000 people across Europe were accused of witchcraft, and some 40 to 50,000 were executed. That's from historyextra.com. And then we know the Salem witch trials, that was just a time of terror. And this was just a little fictional story that I made up about a girl whose grandmother was supposedly a witch. And I think she wanted to learn more about it to understand her grandmother more. So we've just got this set of little cards here, different herbs. And a lot of times people accused of witchcraft, they were not witches. They were healers who were in touch with nature and things that would cure, plants that would work. And then, they may show up and help somebody, and this person is suddenly better. And someone says, oh, they must be a witch. So here's a famous Louisiana Creole practitioner, Marie Catherine Laveau. So she was in New Orleans, and I think she has a tomb there that people still visit. But another reason a woman might be accused of being a witch was if somebody wanted her property. Say she was a widow, and it was just a really easy way to have somebody imprisoned, like she's a witch, and then they would come take you away. And so this is interesting. I have a lot of artwork through here. What is that? So this is interesting. My mother, Melba Lorraine Thomas, was born a twin. Her twin was Velma Lorraine Thomas. It is said that she was born in a veil or a caul. So this goes on to talk about my aunt being present at the birth. And she remembers that veil being cut off of my mother's twin. So I'm thinking, I wonder if she was born inside the sack. Anyway, the twin died. My mother, thank goodness, lived. But that was something that people were they were superstitious about. And it was said that people born in a veil, as they called it, had powers to be able to see the future or to understand things. So just a lot of pretty images and research in here. I did do a lot of reading about culture, and they're like the Grimm's fairy tales, which were really scary. They were pretty brutal back when they were first written. Witches in those. So here's Tilda Swinton, of course, Scottish actress. She played the White Witch in the Chronicles of Narnia. And love this page. I love all that gold that ended up looking kind of distressed. And then we have all the different names for this type of magic. I've heard that the word hag was a positive word up until the time of the plague. People needed someone to blame. So there you go. And there's just a little drawing I did. Women were usually the caretakers or the caregivers and healers in the communities prior to the witch hunt craze. That looks like a page all about shoes, because you see witches depicted with these like pointy shoes or little black boots or whatever. And of course, blackbirds are prominent in cultures as far as being good symbols or bad symbols, a symbol of death or whatever. Ooh, and probably one of my favorite witches of all time. I guess he would be a sorcerer. I don't know. What would he be called? I should know. I love the Harry Potter series. And I love Alan Rickman. I'm so sad that he's gone. So Professor Snape, my favorite. Some sources say Macbeth was written for King James I. So King James I, he was a Scottish king who ended up being king of England almost it was kind of by accident. They needed a king, and he was able to do that. So there's Hermione, another favorite. And he, of course, commissioned the version of the Bible called the King James Bible. That's why it's called that. He also had a book written, or wrote a book, about demons, demonology, I think it was called. And he, I believe, was behind a lot of the hunting down and locking up of the witches, or supposed witches. And I believe he came back later and said that he regretted some of that witch hunt that happened and his part in that. That is a topic I would like to study more, even more. I don't really know enough about it to speak on it, but I think I'm right about his writing of that demonology, and then maybe saying he'd like to step back from that a little bit. Of course, that was a long time ago, so, and none of us were there. Those are beautiful. So this is this Sulamith Wolfing. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but there was quite a bit of work by that artist throughout here. Just beautiful, beautiful artwork. And you can see this one's getting really full. The pages were starting to bend a little bit. But, oh, and look, there's even a little witch's hat. I forgot that was in there. So much fun. Oh, goodness. So there are the Palermo catacombs. That's a real thing. Mushrooms. Love mushrooms. Gossiping Ravens. Jim Brandenburg. Look at that photograph. So, and it's interesting, a bunch of crows together is called a murder, of course. Most people know that. And most people know that crows are very smart. They remember people, especially people who do bad things. They don't like that. They see that and remember it. And then they also will hold funerals if one of them passes away in the wild. So these were just a lot of tarot cards that I just loved the artwork on. This deck is called Slow Holler. I don't have the whole deck. I just found some that I think they were in a thrift store. And I ended up just putting them in my basket to purchase. Oh, that's interesting. The Magician. That's inspiring. We may have to paint some today. Oh, they were in here. And I love the fabric. So just this whole book. And then that little doll's dress is just laying in there. This whole book was just, it was like a month of research and reading and learning and just continuing to work around this same theme. And you can see it closes with a button in the front. And that was just from, I don't know, a jacket or some jeans or something. So there we have it. Those books are going inside, and that actually frees up quite a bit of space because these were taking up some space in the shelf. You can see how much space that is. And I also found a couple of little books. I'm not going to call these complete yet. These are staying out here to go in a really specific spot with my zines because the pages inside were made with zines. So we'll come back to these. So these are journals. I don't know which ones they are. We did 1 through 5, and then we did 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This may be 16, 17, and 18. I'm not sure. It will be on the description of the video. So here are these 3. I'm going to take these inside. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back really soon, and bye for now.